Hello class, Ryan here. For this tutorial we will work through exercise 11-4 of your text, which says to draw an M36 by 4 by 100 millimeter long thread, including the thread callout, and they want an external view, an internal view, and then also detailed schematic and simplified representations. So 11-2 is just a simple rectangle that's 75 by 175, which I've pre-drawn in. So for 11b, we'll put our internal threads onto this object. Everything else will be out freehand in space here. So we'll start with a rectangle like we usually do. D for dimensions, enter, and we're going to be 36 millimeter diameter and 100 millimeter in length. So just get yourself a nice outline like so. Now the M36 by 4, the 4 is the distance from the crest to the crest of each thread. So we'll need a construction line that's half that distance in, or 2 millimeters. So I'm going to do an offset of 2 millimeters to the inside. And then what we can do is draw a line from, we'll draw a line up from that. So I've got a good starting point. And then a line out. And then I can connect the dots. So here I have a line that's over 2 millimeters and down 2 millimeters. And then I can mirror that line, or I can draw a new line like so. Now I can copy that down multiple times. We could do an array here, but we're not doing enough line work to really justify the work to set up an array. So just copy a few more, and once you get a few more copied, you can copy the whole group and then go from the endpoint to the endpoint to define your threads. Just like so. If you go too far, just erase what's left, erase your construction line, and then we can actually do a trim from that point to that point and trim away what remains, erase that outer line and any other construction lines that remain. So there we have the first half of our thread. Now I can't do a perfect mirror because I messed up the length of this line, so let me draw another line that goes over half of 36, which is 18, and then that's going to be my mirror point. So if I do a mirror of all of those crests and valleys, don't erase the source objects, then I can do my final trim here and erase what's left. So that gives me my base outline of my threads. Now we're ready for the actual thread lines. So just go from one crest to one valley and do a simple copy from endpoint to endpoint. Get a few of those drawn in. Now you can pick all of them and go from peak to peak here now is what I've happened to click, and work your way down. We could do an array. It makes sense if this was, a very long fastener, but it's short enough that it'd be a waste of time. And then erase what's left. So there is our external 100 millimeter long thread. And next we'll need to do our call out. So we can do a Q leader and just point to the side of your object and hit F8 to kind of tweak how your arrow comes out. And hit enter. First line should read, really we only have one line, it should be M36 by 4 by 100. Hit enter twice and we're done. Now that seems a little bit small, so remember we can go to dim style, and we're in ISO 25, we can modify that. Maybe we'll make it under fit 3 times as big. And that looks better, but it did not modify our text, just the leaders. So the text, I'm going to do SC for scale, pick the text, hit enter, pick the end of that leader as the base point, and then I can type in a scale factor of 3, and then it modifies so it matches the leader. And if your text moves like that, we should be able to clean up the leader just by using the grip point. So there we've completed number 1. Now we need to do, it's been letter A, now we're going to do B, which is an internal thread. Easy enough. Copy what you've done from the midpoint of one end of the thread using your O snap, and then paste it to your intersection. If you don't get intersection, you need to modify your snap settings so that you see intersection, and then do a simple trim and trim off any line work that is extra and erase anything that's clean out beyond there. And then we'll make that color maybe yellow to match what we've had before. Now, if this was a true sectional view, then we would actually want to hatch, like we're doing a cut section through each of these threaded holes. We'd want to do a hatch. Go down to your hatch settings. We'll change that to predefined ANSI 131 and try that scale of 1. Looks good. So this is what a sectional view would look like of those internal threads. Now lastly, they want a detailed schematic and simplified representation. This would count as our detailed. Now we need to go to schematic, and then lastly simplified. So why don't we just do that for all three since we've got that started. So we're going backward, right? We're getting simpler now. So for the schematic, we simply have a series of straight lines. So I'm going to erase all of these angled lines. And really I can erase all of that because we'll mirror it over. And we're just going to do a straight line from here down to here. And then we can erase really all those other lines, just like so. Now we're going to offset, and this is going to be 2 millimeters. Oops, make sure you go up. Now if you pay attention to what the book says for these schematics, one line is long and then the other line is short, and then it repeats. So I can copy those two up just like that. Now that I have 4, I can copy from end to end to get some more. So hopefully you kind of see what that looks like. And then I'll just go ahead and copy the whole group here. Oops, from there to there. Just be thoughtful with where you're picking your endpoints so that you don't end up with a double line somewhere. And that looks pretty good. We'll mirror over our side line like so, and do the match property to make it all yellow. Do a quick glance to make sure we haven't forgotten anything. I don't believe we have. And we'll mirror that over to the other side. So that counts as our internal thread as soon as we complete our hatch. And I had to redo the hatch because we don't have those jagged lines on the edges for the threads. And then for our detailed, it looks exactly the same. So I'm going to save my beginning point with a little construction line there. Just erase that away, and then copy this for our external thread over to that point. Now we said we were 100 millimeters long, so let's do a construction line up 100. And then I'm going to erase those two, and we know how far we have to go. So we'll take a few more, being thoughtful about our pick points. And then we end with that one there, so we can do an extend the sides up to that line, and then we'll draw in our little sloped corners here, just like that. So there we have our, we'll make it white, match prop to match there. So there's our external thread and our internal thread with the schematic, and then the simplified takes it a step easier. We probably should have done this the other way around, right? Started with the easy and got harder, but it's like swinging 3 bats, I suppose, right? So for this, we actually eliminate all of these internal lines, except for the first and the last, where the pitch or the taper begins. And then they just have they show a hidden line from there on up. And mine didn't take. All right. So it should actually be trimmed off here and trimmed off there. Pick that line. I'm going to make it a yellow hidden line. If you don't have hidden, you'll have to type in line type to load your line. just like that. Mirror that guy to the other side, or copy if you need to. And we have our simplified for one side done. And I'm going to erase and then mirror this over to the other side, just like so. And then for our complete thread, we may as well just use what we have here and draw maybe up to the perpendicular to save an extra trim at the top. Trim away this little extra at the bottom and do a match property from that hidden line to this hidden line. And the one thing we're lacking in these, they do show a center line, so I'm going to steal my center line from there and we'll put it on here. I can just use that grip point to stretch it up a little ways. Then we'll copy that from this one to each of these perhaps. Okay, so we have simplified completed, we have schematic completed, and we have detail completed. And if you missed that at the beginning, this is a 4mm thread. So if I give you a dimension from crest to crest or valley to valley, that should be 4mm as you see here. So we are over 2mm and over 2. So each of your threads should be at a 45-degree angle. Thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful.